Moscow, November 19th, 1581. A 51-year-old man is holding his dying son in his arms. Blood is pouring from a head wound, flowing between the father's fingers as he desperately tries to stop it. He's kissing his son's head, screaming for doctors, sobbing. Just days ago, he struck this exact spot with his iron-tipped staff in a fit of rage. Now his heir, his eldest boy, his competent son, is taking his last breaths. And the father knows. He just destroyed his own dynasty. That's Ivan the Terrible. Born August 25th, 1530, old-style calendar, Virgo sun, and his chart explains everything. The paranoia that made him see traitors everywhere, the perfectionism that turned into systematic torture, the wounded control freak energy that created Russia's first secret police. But here's what gets me. There's a pattern in his life where the same situation repeats 3 times and each time his response gets darker. And that Earth sign need to keep records? He literally maintained detailed lists of every single person he eliminated. Thousands of names, organized by date. That's not cruelty, that's Virgo cruelty. Wait till you see how his chart predicted the exact way he'd lose everything. Before we get into this, hit subscribe if you're into understanding historical figures through their charts. And real talk, I want to know, do you think Ivan's perfectionism made him a strategic genius or just gave him the organizational skills to be history's most efficient tyrant? Drop your take in the comments because I genuinely can't decide if his sign made him great or guaranteed he'd be a monster. Okay, so, Ivan the Fourter, first Tsar of all Russia. Sun in Virgo, August 25th, 1530, born in Kolomenskoye near Moscow. We don't have his birth time, which honestly kills me because I would pay actual money to see his moon and rising, but just his sun sign. It explains so much, it's terrifying. Let me break down this energy first. Mercury ruled earth sign. When evolved, Virgos are the fixers, the people who see what's broken and know exactly how to improve it. Analytical, detail-oriented, service-minded, systematic. They want order. They need control over their environment because chaos makes them genuinely anxious. They're perfectionists at heart, always trying to make things better, cleaner, more efficient. They have incredibly high standards for themselves and everyone around them. But here's the shadow side. When someone with this placement gets wounded early in life, when their need for safety and structure gets violated, when chaos invades their world, that perfectionism curdles. It becomes hypercritical. The desire for control becomes tyranny. That analytical mind starts cataloging every slight, every betrayal, every imperfection. And this sign never forgets. They'll wait years to settle a score. They're methodical in their revenge. Service mentality twists into self-righteousness. They start believing their cruelty serves a higher purpose. Ivan embodies every single one of these shadow traits. Let me show you how. August 25th, 1530. Baby Ivan arrives in a royal family. His father, Vasily III, is Grand Prince of Moscow. His mother, Elena Glinskaya, is regent material, powerful, and ambitious. This should be a secure childhood. Structure, order, royalty, safety. But watch what happens. December 4th, 1533. Ivan is 3 years old. His father dies. Just gone. Little 3-year-old earth sign suddenly has no dad, no male protection, no patriarch to organize his world. His mother takes over as regent, ruling in his name, but she's terrified. Assassination attempts everywhere, political enemies scheming. So she surrounds Ivan with armed guards constantly. He's a toddler living in a war zone. Already his nervous system is forming around threat, around danger, around the idea that safety is an illusion and control is the only answer. Then, April 4th, 1538. Ivan is 8 years old, his mother dies, almost certainly poisoned by the boyars, the Russian nobility who want power for themselves. And this is the wound that shapes everything. The boyars are supposed to mentor young Ivan, care for him, provide structure and guidance. They're supposed to be the adults in the room. Instead, they abuse him. Brutally. He's living in a palace, but they leave him in rags. He has to beg for food. He watches them beat people, end people, torture people right in front of him. They treat him like garbage while fighting each other for control. Imagine being an 8-year-old Mercury-ruled child, a sign that needs order, safety, predictability, and your whole world is violent chaos where the people meant to protect you are your abusers. His brain does what Earth sign brains do. It starts taking notes, cataloging Every boyar who humiliated him, every person who failed to protect him, every slight, every betrayal, every moment of degradation. He's building a mental ledger because this placement never forgets an injustice, never. At 12 years old, he starts torturing animals, ripping feathers off live birds, gouging out their eyes, slitting them open while they're still breathing. That's not random kid cruelty. That's Mercury-ruled precision and attention to detail applied to inflicting pain. He's learning anatomy, learning exactly where to cut to maximize suffering, practicing control over life and death. 13 years old, 1543, he orders his first execution. Prince Andrei Shuisky, one of the boyars who'd mistreated him, just has him killed, a teenager casually ordering an adult's death. The other boyars get the message. This kid isn't playing. Between ages 13 and 16, he's plotting, planning. His meticulous mind is strategizing how to take real power when he comes of age. Textbook Earth sign, if the system is broken, I'll fix it. And his definition of fix is already forming. Absolute control, zero tolerance for imperfection, systematic elimination of threats, January 16th, 1547. He's 16 years old. He gets crowned as the first Tsar of all Russia, not just Grand Prince, Tsar. The word comes from Caesar, and he's claiming it deliberately. He's establishing himself as absolute ruler with a title that demands reverence and fear. The ceremony is elaborate, organized, perfect. Pure earth sign energy. February 3rd, same year, he marries Anastasia Romanovna. And this is the most important relationship of his life. She's from the Romanov family, calm, intelligent, stabilizing. She can actually calm his anxiety. She's the one person he trusts completely. The one person who can talk him down when his paranoia spikes. Remember her because when she's gone, absolutely everything changes. Now watch evolved Mercury energy at work. 1547 to 1560, the good years. He creates the Chosen Council, a group of talented advisors. He's delegating, which is huge for someone with his control issues. 1550, he introduces the Sudebnik, a reformed code of laws. Criminal acts are clearly defined, punishments prescribed for each crime. Judges appointed by Moscow share benches with locally elected representatives to curb corruption. That's earth sign efficiency and systematization at its best. He's fixing a broken legal system with detailed organization. He reforms tax collection, making it more efficient and less corrupt. Implements a centralized government structure. Russia is becoming an actual organized state instead of a collection of warring territories. Between 1552 and 1556, his strategic mind is unstoppable. He plans the siege of Kazan with meticulous detail, gathering 100,000 troops, cutting off the city's water supply, waiting them out with earth sign patience. When Kazan falls in October 1552, he's proven himself a military genius. By 1556, he's conquered Astrakhan and added nearly 1 million square kilometers to Russia. His realm now stretches to the Caspian Sea and the Ural Mountains. His troops start calling him Grozny, usually translated as Ivan the Terrible, but it actually means the awesome or the fearsome. At this point, it's respect. Fear, yes, but also respect for a brilliant military strategist. And he's intellectually gifted. Pure overachiever energy. He reads voraciously. Theology, history, philosophy. Becomes an accomplished musician. Writes extensively, including letters and religious texts. His mind never stops analyzing. He's designing St. Basil's Cathedral in Moscow to commemorate taking Kazan. There's a legend he was so impressed with the architect that he had him blinded so he could never design anything as beautiful again. This legend has been thoroughly debunked by historians, but the fact that people believed it tells you something about his reputation. He's brilliant, accomplished, organized, effective, an evolved earth sign running a country. But underneath, the childhood wounds are still there, the paranoia simmering. He gets seriously ill, near fatal. Everyone thinks he's dying. He asks the boyars to swear an oath of allegiance to his infant son, Dmitri. And many of them refuse. They think he's going to die anyway. So why swear loyalty to a baby? Some want to put his cousin Vladimir of Staritsa on the throne instead. Ivan recovers. And now he knows. The boyars would replace him the second they get the chance. His trust issues get confirmed. Nobody's loyal, everyone's waiting for weakness to pounce. That suspicion takes root. Then 1560, August 7th. Anastasia dies after 13 years of marriage. She's 29 years old. Probably poisoned, though it's never confirmed. And Ivan breaks completely. Without her stabilizing influence, without that one person who made him feel safe, his wounded nature explodes. He smashes furniture, bangs his head against walls and floors. His hair falls out in clumps. His beard turns white practically overnight. Witnesses describe visible signs of psychological collapse. The paranoia that was always there, now it's all-consuming. He's convinced the boyars poisoned her. Of course he is. Someone with his chart already struggles with trust, and now his worst fear is confirmed. The only person he felt safe with was taken from him. Nobody is safe. Nobody is loyal. Everyone is plotting. He starts eliminating members of his advisory council one by one, men who'd served him for years, executed, exiled, forced to flee with their families. Prince Andrei Kurbsky, one of his closest advisors and military commanders, flees to Lithuania in 1564 because he knows he's next. From Lithuania, Kurbsky writes letters criticizing Ivan's tyranny. Ivan writes back long, detailed letters defending every decision, justifying every execution, explaining his perfect logic. This is what Mercury rulership looks like. Let me explain in excruciating detail why I'm right and you're wrong. December 1564. Ivan does something absolutely wild. He suddenly abandons Moscow, takes his family and loyal supporters to Alexandrov Sloboda, his hunting lodge northeast of the city, sends 2 letters back to Moscow. First letter to the people says the boyars are traitors and he can't rule with them sabotaging him. Second letter to the boyars says he's abdicating. Moscow panics. The economy starts collapsing. People are terrified. They send a delegation begging him to return, and he agrees. But with conditions. He demands the right to punish anyone he deems a traitor without interference. He demands control over a separate territory called the Oprichnina, completely under his personal authority. The boyars agree because what choice do they have? So Ivan creates the Oprichnina, a state within the state, his personal territory where normal laws don't apply. And he creates the Oprichniki, his personal police force. 6,000 men dressed entirely in black, riding black horses, with dog heads attached to their saddles and brooms. The symbolism is explicit, sniffing out traitors like dogs, sweeping them away like brooms. That's organizational genius creating systematic terror. He's not lashing out randomly. He's designing an infrastructure for identifying and eliminating imperfection. The Oprichniki swear loyalty only to him. They conduct investigations, make arrests, carry out executions. And Ivan supervises personally because he can't delegate something this important. He has to make sure it's done correctly. The purges start. Boyar families' entire households. He confiscates their land, redistributes it to his Oprichniki. Prince Alexander Gorbaty-Shchuisky, accused of treason, killed along with his 15-year-old son. Metropolitan Philip, the head of the Russian Orthodox Church, speaks out against the violence. 1568, Ivan has him strangled. The religious leader criticizes him, so he's eliminated too. Nobody is exempt from his standards. 1569, he starts suspecting Prince Vladimir of Staritsa, his own cousin, the guy the boyars wanted on the throne back in 1553. Forces Vladimir to drink poison, eliminates his entire family, wipes out the bloodline, completing tasks thoroughly, leaving no loose ends. January 1570, the Novgorod campaign. This is methodical revenge at its absolute worst. Ivan hears rumors that Novgorod is plotting to ally with Poland against him. Does he send investigators to verify? No. In his mind, even the suspicion means they're guilty. He plans, gathers the Oprichniki. They arrive in Novgorod in January, dead of winter. For 5 weeks, they systematically go through the city. Modern historians estimate thousands died, possibly tens of thousands. Some estimates go as high as 60,000, though the city's total population was only around 30,000. The Volkhov River ran red for weeks, and Ivan supervises. His son, 15-year-old Ivan Jr., is with him, watching. They observe the Oprichniki working, then retire to church for prayer. Torture in the morning, church service in the afternoon. That's the pattern, day after day for 5 weeks. Earth sign ritual and routine applied to mass murder. He genuinely believes this is service. He's purifying Russia of traitors, cleansing the nation, his service mentality completely perverted. July 25th, 1570, Moscow's Red Square. He hosts a mass public execution for people accused of plotting the Novgorod treason. Prince Ivan Viskovati is accused. Ivan has him suspended from a horizontal pole. Then the Oprichniki take turns cutting pieces off him, slice by slice. While he's still alive, another man is alternately doused with boiling and freezing water until his skin falls off. Another is impaled. Ivan watches it all, directs it, makes sure it's done according to his specifications. That's attention to detail in horror show form. He's designing specific tortures for specific crimes. Nothing random, everything calculated to send a message and demonstrate his control. And here's the thing. He's keeping records, detailed lists of everyone eliminated, names, dates, methods, reasons, thousands of entries. He even establishes payments to monasteries to pray for the souls of the dead. The lists get sent to monasteries with money for prayers. So on one hand, he's systematically torturing and killing people. On the other hand, he's organizing prayer services for their souls. Compartmentalization at its finest. One part of his brain is cataloging atrocities, another part is managing his spiritual purity. He sees no contradiction. He attends elaborate Orthodox church services constantly, prays for hours, follows religious rituals obsessively, then orders more executions. Church, torture, church, torture. It's his routine. His need for ritual and order applies to both spiritual practice and political terror. The Crimean Tatars attack Moscow, actually breach the city and burn it. Ivan's military is weakened from all the internal purges and the ongoing Livonian War, which he's been fighting since 1558, trying to control the Baltic territories. The war's going badly. He's losing. His Oprichnina, trained to eliminate internal enemies, proves useless against external threats. 1572, he officially dissolves the Oprichnina, but the damage is done. Russia's economy is devastated, the military is depleted, and his paranoia hasn't decreased at all. Between 1547 and 1584, he marries at least 7 times, possibly 8. After Anastasia, none of them last. He cycles through wives, sending them to monasteries when he's done with them, watching others die suspiciously young. One lasts 2 months, another lasts a year. He's trying to replace Anastasia, and it's impossible. Nobody can calm his anxiety the way she did. His son Ivan Jr. grows up, becomes well-educated, intelligent, capable. At 15, he watches the Novgorod massacre with his father. By his 20s, he's married 3 times himself. First, 2 wives deemed unsuitable and sent to monasteries. Third wife, Yelena Sheremeteva, gets pregnant. And here's where the critical rage destroys everything. Mid-November 1581. Different sources give different dates, but most agree it's around November 9th through 15th. Ivan sees his pregnant daughter-in-law. She's wearing what he considers immodest clothing. Some sources say she's in undergarments, having just bathed or changed. He doesn't approve. Perfectionist standards for everyone, remember? So, he confronts her, and when confronting doesn't satisfy his rage, he beats her, his son's pregnant wife. He beats her so badly she suffers a miscarriage. His son, Ivan Jr., age 27, bursts into the room. Maybe trying to stop his father, maybe just checking on his wife, screams. They start arguing. The son is defending his wife, maybe pushing back on his father's brutality, maybe criticizing the Livonian War failures. Sources vary on what exactly the argument was about, but Ivan grabs his staff, his iron-tipped staff that he carries everywhere, his weapon of choice. And in a fit of rage at being contradicted, at someone not meeting his standards, at losing control of the situation, he swings, strikes his son in the head. The metal tip cracks his skull. The son drops, blood everywhere, and immediately, Ivan realizes what he's done. He falls to his knees, cradles his son, tries to stop the bleeding with his hands, but it's pouring through his fingers. He's kissing his son's head, sobbing, screaming for doctors. The famous Repin painting from 1885 captures this exact moment, the father's face showing absolute horror, the son's eyes showing shock and betrayal. It's one of Russia's most controversial paintings because it's so visceral, so brutal, so psychologically devastating. November 15th or 16th, 1581, 1 or 2 days after the blow. The Tsarevich dies from the head wound, and Ivan, he knows exactly what he's done. He hasn't just killed his son, he's ended the dynasty. His remaining son, Fyodor, is 24 years old, physically weak, possibly intellectually disabled, and completely unfit to rule. Fyodor will have no children. The Rurik dynasty, which has ruled Russia for centuries, is over because Ivan's critical rage couldn't tolerate his daughter-in-law's clothing choice. January 6th, 1583, over a year after his son's death. Ivan visits the Trinity St. Sergius Lavra, an important monastery on the Orthodox feast of Epiphany. Witnesses describe him as destroyed. He wept and sobbed, made 6 bows to the ground with tears and sobbing. He asks the monks to establish eternal prayers for his son's soul, to pray forever and ever, as long as this holy monastery stands and until the end of the age. He's drowning in remorse. But it doesn't change anything. The damage is done. March 18th. Ivan dies, reportedly during a chess game, possibly from a stroke. He's 53 years old. His hair and beard are completely white. His body shows signs of severe stress. When Soviet scientists examined his remains in 1963, they found evidence of mercury and arsenic, likely from medical treatment for syphilis rather than poisoning. He leaves the throne to Fyodor, who rules ineffectively under the control of boyars like Boris Godunov. 1598, Fyodor dies with no heirs. The time of troubles begins. Civil war, multiple pretenders claiming the throne, foreign intervention, famine. Russia descends into chaos for 15 years until the Romanov dynasty takes over in 1613. Here's the astrological truth. A Mercury-ruled Earth sign with catastrophic childhood trauma creates methodical brutality. Every single shadow trait gets activated and weaponized. The perfectionism becomes impossible standards that nobody, not even his own family, can meet. The desire for order becomes tyrannical control over every detail of people's lives. The analytical mind becomes paranoia that catalogs every potential threat. The service orientation becomes self-righteous belief that cruelty serves a higher purpose. The inability to forgive. This sign already holds grudges, but Ivan holds grudges for decades and executes entire families to settle them. The attention to detail that could have made him a brilliant administrator instead makes him design personalized tortures and keep meticulous death records. In the critical nature, people with this placement are their own worst critics, but Ivan extends that criticism to everyone around him and backs it up with an iron-tipped staff. The same precision that conquered Kazan and Astrakhan, that reformed Russian law, that organized a centralized government, that same precision organized the Oprichnina, planned the Novgorod massacre, and documented thousands of deaths in careful lists. His chart showed potential for healing and service. He chose savagery, systematic, organized, perfectly executed savagery, and the ultimate irony. He spent 54 years trying to create order, eliminate chaos, remove every threat, and purify the state. And he died, leaving Russia in the worst chaos it had experienced in centuries. His perfectionism destroyed the very thing he was trying to perfect. His need for control resulted in complete loss of control after his death. His meticulous planning created catastrophic, unintended consequences. That's the warning in Ivan the Terrible's chart. Mercury-ruled Earth energy wants to fix everything. But you can't fix human nature with systematic violence. You can't organize people into submission. You can't create order through terror. He tried for decades, and in the end, that critical rage cost him his son, his bloodline, and his legacy. Russia didn't remember him as a reformer or a brilliant strategist. They remembered him as the terrible, the first Tsar, and the one who showed exactly how dark this shadow side can go when childhood wounds meet absolute power. His chart predicted it all: the control issues, the paranoia, the methodical revenge, the inability to forgive. Even the final self-destruction, meticulous to the very end.